Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oscar Buzz, episode 3 in the rebooted version of the show. I'm going full Spider-Man and Batman. I'm Trevor, and I'm with here as always with Thomas.
Hello, everybody. We've got a lighter show in terms of talking about stuff today, but it should still be a lot of fun to talk about. I'm sure. Yeah, should we get started?
Absolutely, yeah, a bit of a lighter show, but we do have our full Oscars predictions coming this weekend. So every single category except the shorts. Because nobody knows. I will say, I didn't mention this in the video. Watch out for the Queen of Basketball in the documentary short category. I think it can make a run. It's been winning at a bunch of festivals. But
Okay.
let's jump into news.
Yes.
All right. So we got a lot of stuff this week about like movies that will be in future Oscar seasons. Not a lot of news about the current season, but we got some news on some 2022 and 2023 movies for the 95th and 96th Academy Awards. So kicking off, Kristen Stewart and Steven Yeun are going to star together in a sci-fi drama. So, I mean, we of course like Steven Yeun, great in Minari.
Yep.
He looks great in The Humans.
Yes.
Kristen Stewart, aside from Twilight, she's been
She
in
ain't
good.
bad in that. She isn't bad in that.
That's fair. That's fair. But like she's done some good independent stuff. I mean, and now she's gonna get an Oscar nomination for Spencer. Maybe win.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sci-fi dramas, like we see usually one, maybe two come in a year. I mean, it's Dune this year. Last year wasn't really a great example since we didn't really have much of anything. But like there's usually one or two. I mean, going back a couple years, there's Gravity, Ex Machina, one visual effects. So you'll usually see something like Swan Song is a potential this year with Mahershala Ali and Glenn Close and Aquafina. Without knowing the director, do you think that this cast can potentially propel this movie into the Oscars?
I think it's got a chance, but the problem is a lot of them do sort of fail. You know, last year you saw Midnight Sky as sort of sci-fi drama not do much at the Oscars aside from, you know, the below the line categories that you'd expect out of a sci-fi film to get. And then looking 2 years back, you had Ad Astra, which again sort of just went sort of under the radar. So I could see that potentially happening. Yeah, exactly. Even First Man. And these are films with big stars. So having big stars in your movie doesn't necessarily mean that it will be noticed, especially if it's a sci-fi drama. I can see it doing stuff. You know, this is a stacked cast, but I don't know. Sci-fi dramas don't tend to be really what the Oscars go for. As you said, there are a few exceptions, but on the whole, I don't think this will be something that the Oscars go for. We'll need to see. I'm excited to hear what kind of director this movie's going to have and all that kind of stuff. I'm excited to hear more about this project, but looking at just what we've been given so far, I don't know.
Yeah, no, if we get like a really strong director attached to this, I'll be very excited. I mean, but like for now, like do you have any picks for who you'd like to see direct this?
Ooh, who would I like to see direct
I mean,
this?
going back to Ex Machina, like I would love to see Alex Garland do this.
Yeah, what has he done outside of Ex Machina?
Annihilation.
Oh, he did Annihilation. Yeah, that would be a good pick actually. I think that's definitely an option. I need to see more of the cast and sort of the general concept before I can just pin a director to it. I think it might be one of those situations where let's get a bit more and then let's start picking directors.
Who directed Twilight? Let's bring them back. What have they
done? Yes, I'm not sure who directed Twilight. I don't imagine they would have directed much on after that. But
I kind of want to see. Just a minute, a tangent here. I want to see who directed Twilight and what happened to their career.
Twilight director. Oh, there are 4. Yeah, that's never a good sign.
Catherine Hardwicke.
So
her name.
Oh, so that's the first one. But each film had a different director.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah. That's never a good
Um,
sign really for a franchise to have 4
yeah,
directors on their films.
she did the Christmas movie The Nativity Story.
Okay.
Her feature debut like got a bunch of Indie Spirit Awards called 13. But
Hmm.
then since then she's done Red Riding Hood, um, which nobody saw. Plush, uh, don't know what that is. Miss You Already, again, I don't know what that is. Wait, Toni Collette and Drew Barrymore are in this? What? Um, and then she did a short film with Sam Raimi, and then she did Miss Bala, which had Gina Rodriguez and Anthony Mackie in 2019. So
She also,
basically,
yeah, but she also wrote a book called Twilight, Director's Notebook, the story of how we made the movie.
well,
That is
that's
something,
that's her most important credit. Come on.
yeah, that is something I need to check out. Oh, God.
Oh my god, this movie. Um, have you ever actually seen Twilight?
I've seen all of them, binged them all in a day. I know. Crazy. Yes, that does deserve a round of applause.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
I did. I didn't. I've only seen the first one. I did binge The Kissing Booth all in one day, the trilogy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that too deserves a round of applause.
All right. Somebody that is very far away from these movies is Glenn Close.
Yeah.
Um, and she's working on a Sunset Boulevard remake. So, Thomas, have you seen Sunset Boulevard?
I have not known.
Okay. So it's a perfect movie.
Okay.
It's really, really good. Um, so from what all the reports I've been reading is that Paramount is kind of like iffy on it. But Glenn Close is really, really working on getting this. It's free on Prime right now for anybody that wants to watch it. Um, so I'll just read the synopsis from Google. A aging silent film star refuses to accept that her stardom has ended. She hires a young screenwriter to help set up her movie comeback. The screenwriter believes he can manipulate her, but he soon finds out that he is wrong. The screenwriter's ambivalence about their relationship and her unwillingness to let go leads to a situation of violence, madness, and death. This movie's really, really good.
Okay.
It's short. It's only like an hour 45. Highly suggest you check this out.
Yeah.
It's a 5 out of 5 for me on Letterboxd.
Yeah. I'll
Um,
definitely check it out.
it's a really, really good movie. I think that Glenn Close would work in this role as an aging silent film star who's refusing to go their career. Maybe this is her Oscar. If this
Yes.
happens, I don't like the idea of this movie being remade. Um,
Um.
it's
Yeah, but I think this will happen for a lot of reasons. Glenn Close, having a big name attached that really wants to get it made, that does suggest that this film has a lot of backing behind it, and I think therefore it will be made. If we see West Side Story crush at the Oscars,
that's
that's
true.
another thing I can see them looking at. That's a classic film remade for modern audiences. I can see them doing the same thing if that really does do well. They'll think, oh yeah, let's remake this one. And also, it does feel very like Oscar baity. When you were reading the description, I thought, oh, the artist sounds
Yeah.
pretty similar to that. And that obviously won Best Picture. So I can see this being remade for several reasons, and I think that if it is remade and Glenn Close is in it in a pivotal part, that will lead into its narrative, and I can see this having a lot of Oscar chances and being one of the most major Oscar contenders whenever it is released, if it is released.
Yeah, this was a major hit when it was released in 1950. It got a picture nom, a director nom. It got noms in all 4 acting categories. It won original screenplay. It won production design. It won original score, and it was nominated for cinematography and editing. Got 11 nominations and 4 wins. So yeah, this could be a massive Oscars player. It sounds like Glenn Close has been trying to work on this for a while now, and
Yeah.
Paramount is still saying no.
Okay.
So it's I mean I'm reporting on this now. I'm bringing this up now just because it's becoming more public that she like really wants to get this made. Which just basically means that she's saying I really really want an Oscar. Please let me have a Paramount.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Yeah, if this gets made, it's. I mean, it's a movie about Hollywood in the 50s.
Mm,
Like, look at Mank. Look at Once Upon a
yeah,
Time in Hollywood. Like, those all crushed it with nominations. I mean, Mank had the most nominations of last year.
yeah,
So, like you said, The Artist won Best Picture. Um, so yeah, I would love to. I mean, I would love to see this. There's so many iconic lines. I mean, I didn't. I'm still big. It's the pictures that got small. Famous line, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close up.
oh yeah,
Um,
I've heard that one.
yeah, it's a very very famous movie. So I don't want to see it get remade, but if it does, it will probably like it'll probably crush at the Oscars, just like West Side Story. I didn't really want that to get remade,
Yeah,
but now that
yeah,
it's happening, I'm like, okay, fine. Like,
yeah.
you know,
Some of these things just seem inevitable.
yeah, yeah. So this I will reference our predictions a little bit. So when we recorded those a couple days ago before this news broke, or right around the time when this news broke. So we'll talk about it there. But Knives Out composer Nathan Johnson is replacing Alexander Desplat in Nightmare Alley. So where do you think this leaves Nightmare Alley, and do you think it can still get a score nom?
I think it can still get a score nomination. We've seen that Nathan Johnson is a very good composer. You know, Knives Out has a very good score. And but I honestly think this news really propels the French Dispatch into more Oscar contention because there's no worry now about Alexander Desplat being nominated twice. I think that does increase the French Dispatch's chances. It does probably slightly lessen Nightmare Alley's chances. You know, there I don't know the behind the scenes reasons as to why this whole switch happened. But if there is some, sort of backstage controversy, that could hurt Nightmare Alley a little bit. Um, and it could end up feeling a bit confused. The score, if they are trying to sort of cram in elements of both composers, or whether they do just cut out whatever he's done so far and go with completely fresh Nathan Johnson score. I don't know, but it is interesting, this news story.
Yeah. So Nathan Johnson has mostly just worked on Ryan Johnson stuff. I believe the cousins. I think he's done every Ryan Johnson movie
Okay,
except Last Jedi. And it seems like it was just
right.
scheduling conflicts. Because Desplat is still doing
Okay,
Guillermo's Pinocchio. So they're still on good
right.
terms. I think it was just scheduling conflicts. I
Okay,
think Nathan Johnson's score could work for this though. Um, I think it. I really like his work in Knives Out. I'll be completely honest. I really, really enjoyed that score. It isn't like flashy or anything, but the music cues hit all at the right time. It's a minimalist score, but when it hits, it hits. And I think that's what could work for Nightmare Alley. Kind of just letting the cast and like the insaneness of Willem Dafoe yelling, just carry this movie in the crazy sound design, and then in climactic moments just hit with this score. And I think that will work also because like doesn't need that much time. I really like Nathan Johnson as a pick. I don't know how I feel about its Oscars chances now though. Nathan Johnson's never been nominated. And yes, there's a first time for everybody to get nominated,
yeah.
but they typically like to go with people that are already in their quote unquote club, right? So it makes me a little iffy about Nightmare Alley's chances.
Yeah, I
But
think there is also something to be said about the fact the Oscars not wanting to double nominate people.
yeah,
That by default could see Nathan Johnson slip in because so many of the top contenders are done by the same people. You know, if they want to nominate one for each, Nathan Johnson could slip in that way. I think there is something to be said about
yeah. If Johnny Greenwood only gets one, Zimmer only gets one, and the Splot only gets one, like they have the top 7 right now, the
that.
top
Yeah,
6. So like if they all only get one, then we could definitely see the door being opened up.
yeah,
All right. So this is interesting. So we got news on Christopher Nolan's next film. It's slated for July 2023. It's going to be a biopic about Robert Oppenheimer and the atom bomb in New York. And Cillian Murphy is going to be playing him. So it's a biopic. about a scientist. This gives me vibes of The Prestige already for some reason, which definitely didn't get a bunch of Oscars, but like I don't know. I think that this is going to be Nolan's first major Oscars contender since Inception.
What about Dunkirk?
Oh, you're right. That did get picture, right?
Yeah, I think it got picked. Yeah,
I
but
believe so. It
yeah,
might
I
got
mean,
directed too.
Tenet didn't get much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this film already. You know, it's known as much as Tenet is not a brilliant film. I still enjoy it. It's still definitely an experience to watch. And Cillian Murphy, brilliant actor. I'm very excited to see him play this role. And yeah, this will be heading in for the 2024 Oscars, so the ones that in 2024. So it's a long way away. It's a long way away. We've got a lot
Yeah.
more time, you know, see more details about the film, about the cast, and all that stuff. But from on the surface, I'm very looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Cillian Murphy's never gotten an Oscar nom before. I think that this is maybe his first nom. I know it's so far away, but it's a biopic.
Mm.
I don't think has Nolan ever gotten an acting nom before? Like he has somebody in his cast ever
Heath
gotten an acting
Ledger.
nom?
Heath Ledger. He's the one that is the only
Yeah.
one I think. There might be another one, but Heath Ledger's the one that immediately comes to mind.
Yeah, because like Ten didn't get anything, Dunkirk didn't get
No.
anything, Interstellar didn't, Inception didn't.
Mhm.
The only
And
acting nom
even
from the Dark Knight
yeah,
trilogy.
yeah, and
But
even that was supporting actor. So he's never really
yeah,
got a lead actor into one of these categories.
yeah. So maybe this is it.
Maybe.
Maybe this is Nolan's first acting nom, or sorry, acting. Well, second,
Yeah.
first lead acting nom. Um, So, I mean, it'd be Cillian Murphy's first acting nom. It just
Mm.
makes a lot of sense. I think that this movie has a lot of potential at the Oscars. Like, I mean, I think picture's a possibility, director's a possibility. At
Yeah.
this point, it's probably the front runner because like the only movie slated for 2023.
Yes.
Um, but
Yeah.
like picture, director, screenplay has a shot. A lot of tech stuff, I think sound since they're doing a bunch of like nuclear engineering stuff,
Yeah.
editing, cinematography, visual effects, maybe costumes,
Yeah.
production design since it's historical. Like this movie could be a major Oscars contender.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like it could get a lot. So I'm definitely looking forward to this film.
For sure.
All right. Speaking of like I said, we're looking ahead for a lot of stuff here. Um, so Tilda Swinton, sure we've all heard of her. Pretty good actress. She has joined Michael Fassbender in David Fincher's new film, The Killer. Thoughts about how this cast is shaping up. I know you're a fan of Fincher.
I am a little bit of a fan of Fincher. He might be my favorite director of all time.
Maybe.
Maybe. And what really excites me about this film already, this is nothing to do with the cast, but it's the writer. I don't exactly know the name. I've got it written down somewhere. Andrew Kevin Walker. His only other work with Fincher was on Seven, and that is my second favorite of Fincher's films. Like he was a writer on that, he's a writer on this. You know, it's Fincher going back to his serial killer. You know, Zodiac, loved. Seven, loved. So this is shaping out to be brilliant, and the film that is going to be right up my alley. And this cast just furthers that because we've got Michael Fassbender, who's a very, very good actor, and Tilda Swinton, very, very good actress. Yeah, this is one of my most anticipated films. Whenever it will be released, I'm sure it'll be right at the top of the list.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, yeah, Andrew Kevin Walker is writing. Eric Messerschmidt, who was the cinematographer for Mank, is going to be the cinematographer on this.
Mm,
And Mank won Best Cinematography. So
yeah,
Messerschmidt coming off of an Oscar win. So yeah, so it's going to be a psychological thriller. Fassbender's character is described as an assassin who begins to psychologically crack as he develops a conscience, even as his clients continue to demand his skills. So like this seems like classic Fincher, a
yeah,
psychological thriller about a messed up person. Like I love Mank. It did not feel like a Fincher movie. As much as
no,
I love Mank, that was not a David Fincher film. I refuse to no. but this definitely feels like a Fincher movie.
Mm.
And like you're saying with this cast, I'm very excited for it. Do you think this comes out? So they're shooting in Paris right now. Do you think this will come out in time for the 2023 Oscars? Do you think it comes out late 2022?
I could see it coming out late 2022. You know, it's not like a Christopher Nolan film. It won't feel like that. You know, with what the effort that goes into making those, you know, all the effects and sort of all that kind of stuff, they don't really get put into much to David Fincher films. They're, and especially looking at the sort of plot that we're going into this, it feels more simplistic.
Yeah.
So it won't take as much time to, you know, make and obviously all that kind of stuff. So I can see it slipping into next year's Oscars.
Yeah, yeah. Which next year's an interesting race. I mean, we got um, you know, Blonde, Canterbury Glass, uh the what Northman.
Yeah,
Just looking for that. There's Babylon, Damien Chazelle's new
Babylon.
film.
Yeah,
Shaping up to be an interesting year. There's also Avatar 2, which who knows what that's gonna
yes,
do.
yeah.
Um So yeah, so it's definitely going to be an interesting year next year. I'm looking forward to it. Or maybe it's 2023 and we get Nolan versus Fincher, which would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
All right. Moving on to our next story. We got some international feature selection news. So Japan, as expected, selects Drive with My Car. Got a lot of
Yeah,
buzz out of Cannes. Makes sense. Also, to briefly touch on something at the bottom of our news thing here, there was the Asian Pacific Screen Awards. I couldn't find like an actual list of the nominations, but A Hero and Drive My Car got the most nominations, which makes sense.
yeah.
I'd say they're definitely the top two Asian films of the year. Nothing really from Korea.
No, no, which is interesting. Definitely interesting.
Yeah, they're usually pretty strong.
Yeah,
Finland selects Compartment Number 6, another Cannes film. Makes sense. Was really the only thing that they could go with, I think.
yeah,
Um, it scared me for a minute because I was like, "Wait, worst person in the world? That's Scandinavian. No, wait, it's Norway. Okay, we're
yeah,
good." Um,
yeah.
but you know what did get me really excited?
What would that be?
France wasn't entirely stupid.
No,
They went for Titane. Makes me so happy.
yeah.
They
And at this point, it is important to note that our Oscar predictions were filmed before this news broke,
yes,
because they completely ruined my nominations for the best foreign language film. But I do think that Titane now will get in to the
yeah,
category. I think with the amount of buzz it's been receiving, you know, and this did come as a bit of a shock because from all
yeah.
I've heard, it's a weird film. I didn't think this would be something France would go for. But since it is, it definitely has now a shot, especially with last week news with Parallel Mothers dropping out. This feels like really one of the big contenders now.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, this feels like I've heard a lot of people compare it to Dogtooth from 2009, one of Yorgos Lanthimos' first films. It was submitted from Greece, and it's another movie that's like really, really weird and crazy and out there. People didn't think it was going to get the submission just because it was too weird. It got the submission, and then it ended up getting nominated, and helped to launch Yorgos Lanthimos' career. So, like, the international feature branch is way more open, I think, to crazy stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but Julia Ducournau, let's talk about it. Do we think she can get director? Do we think this can happen?
Um, I don't think so. Honestly, if we are getting a foreign language film director, I do still see it being Joachim Trier.
Here's the
Um,
thing, though. This feels like way more directing going on.
if we see, I think this will be a case where we need to see the build up towards it. You know, does she get a lot of this buzz before? What will the buzz for this film be like leading up to the Oscars? And will this be like ahead of The Worst Person in the World? Because at the end of the day, I think what wins foreign language
International,
feature, the
yeah,
director of that will be the one that gets in. I don't see any other situation where that happens. Just because,
yeah,
you know, it's an American company, it's an American production. So I don't see them looking at that film in particular and thinking, oh, the directing's good on that, but it's not quite a good enough film to be winning the best foreign language feature category. I just don't see that happening.
So here's the thing. I'm pretty sure Neon is just competing against themselves here, though. They have Titane and Worst Person in the World.
Okay, they are both. Okay.
So what's interesting is it might just come down to what Neon wants to
Yeah.
win.
Yeah, that's just true.
Because like with how Neon campaigns, like if they really work at something, especially with international feature, like if you're an international feature and you get picked up by Neon, you're probably winning, unless there's another Neon film, which happened this year.
Yes.
So I don't know. I mean, they also have Flea. Like they have all of the international features.
Yeah. Okay.
So it'll be interesting, but I could see them campaigning the crap out of Julie Ducournau for director.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
I think that she's going to get BAFTA. I think that that's just going to happen. I think that she's going to
okay.
get a BAFTA nom for director because the BAFTAs are a little bit more out there now. I think that's going to happen. I think she gets Critics' Choice because they nominate like 8 people and she's probably like in that top 8. It's a movie for the critics. Critics are loving it. I mean, will DGA like if she can get Critics' Choice, DGA, and BAFTA, I don't think there's any denying it.
Yeah. Again, I think if Titane will be, by the time the Oscars roll around, will be the favourite to win international feature. I think she'll be definitely the favourite of this sort of rogue international director getting in. I think she will be favourite. I think, put it this way, my thoughts are whatever wins a foreign language feature, that director will be the one that will have the buzz in
What if it's Flea?
best director category.
They aren't going to give a director nom to an animated documentary director.
No, you can't. And in which case, I think it will just be an all-American fight. Yeah, which would be a shame, but you know.
Yeah, be interesting. But overall, just so excited. Even though they should have picked Petite Maman, Celine Sciamma film, because Celine Sciamma is perfect. I'm glad that they at least went for the out there pick. And I'm sad for the creative team behind Happening. I'm sure their film is great. They probably deserve the submission just as much as Titane. I mean, they won Venice, but I could not be more excited that France actually did something.
Yes.
And they did something that we aren't all mad at them for. All right. Yeah. So remember The Father?
I do remember The Father.
It's this thing right here is my favorite movie of last year. So Florian Zeller, right? Featured directorial debut. A solid directorial debut. He's making another movie. It's called The Son. It is not a sequel. But he's going to be telling again about the kid dealing with mental health. Except it won't be a musical, so he also isn't remaking Dear Evan Hansen. What this does have is a cast of Hugh Jackman, Laura Dern, and Vanessa Kirby, who I realized on the document I spelled her name Kirby. But we can move on.
Yes.
Anthony Hopkins just joined the cast.
Yeah.
Oscar winner for The Father. Reuniting with Florian Zeller. Look at this cast. Anthony Hopkins, Hugh Jackman, Laura Dern, Vanessa Kirby. Like, they're all... Jackman and Kirby are nominees. Dern and Hopkins are winners. This cast is stacked. It's so stacked.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to this film now. I also love the title, like because The Father was the debut. Now he can just make all the films, sort of fit into this category, and that makes me happy. But yeah, proven to have a very good aptitude at getting good performances out of Anthony Hopkins. So what's to say this film will be any different? Hugh Jackman, he can be hit or miss, but with a good director, he can bring some brilliant performances. Prisoners, his performance in that was incredible. Yeah. Logan, incredible in that. So he's proved, but then you do also have the The Greatest Showman, and the other Wolverine films. So he is a bit hit or miss, but with a good director, he brings a good performance. And I think both Vanessa Kirby, Laura Dern, proven to be great. And yeah, everything about this film looks like it could be very, very highly contending for the Oscars, especially since The Father last year was one of those films where people didn't think it was going to be accessible enough for Oscar voters, and it proved that it was good enough, like really good. So it bounced past all of those sort of criticisms and made it into the best picture category. So I can see this
Yeah.
just doubling on that success.
Yeah, I mean, it got a picture nom. It won actor and screenplay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it got a production design nom. This movie, did it get editing too? I feel like it got editing.
If it didn't, it should have done. We'll go with that.
Yes. But yeah, and all I can say is, maybe maybe Nick Zeller will remake the Jennifer Lawrence movie Mother. But yeah, I'm very excited for this. Florian Zeller is quickly becoming one of my favorite directors, just after The Father. I mean, if this hits, like, come on, come
Yeah.
on. Again, I don't know when this is coming out. I'd assume 2023. I can't imagine it comes out next year, but maybe. I mean, it isn't going to be a massive production, so maybe this is a contender for next year. It's usually once we get like festival dates is when we can start figuring out when films start getting accepted into festivals. And speaking of that, so Andrew Dominic, he has that Marilyn Monroe biopic, Blonde, starring Anna de Armas. So it just got an NC-17 rating, which is I believe the replacement for an X rating. So from people who have like read the book it's based on, they're saying like, yeah, this book is incredibly graphic. They couldn't have made it any other way aside from NC-17. It was accepted into Berlin Film Festival, like I was saying, which is going to be in February. So people are going to get to see this in about 4 months.
Yeah.
Do you think this kills its Oscar chances?
I think it is a little early. I think it is a little early to be premiering in February. But
it is a festival, right? Like
it is a festival.
Sundance is in January, so
yeah. So hopefully it can, it will release, more festivals in Venice and all those kind of stuff later. And we've seen more of a rise in R-rated Oscar films getting in, but I don't recall many of these X-rated films being very Oscar friendly. But there has been a trend of recent times where we see more R-rated films get into the mainstream Oscars. Joker, obviously. Parasite, I presume, was R-rated. If it wasn't, it should have been. And yeah, I don't think it hurts its chances too much as long as the film is good and still accessible enough. I can see it having big Oscar chances.
So the only time an NC-17 or X-rated film has gotten attention at the Oscars was Midnight Cowboy in 1969, which won Picture, Director, and Screenplay.
Okay, yeah, so it can happen.
Yeah, so that's the only time it's won. I believe there was one nomination prior. I think that there was an acting nomination. I can't remember the movie. Mm-hmm. So, like, the major contender here was Anna de Armas.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be very, very interesting. It also depends on, how much of the old Academy and how much of the new Academy is there.
Yes, that is true.
So, yeah. So, what's also really interesting is that this movie's going to Netflix.
Okay.
As a NC-17 rated film. So, that's interesting.
That is, because that will automatically mean more eyes on it, because there isn't, because like with NC-17 films, if they're coming out in cinemas, in theaters, the box office will obviously be smaller. But if it's going to Netflix, more people can watch it, which I think will be
Yeah,
good. Get a
yeah,
lot of more eyes on it.
yeah. I mean, I love Anna de Armas, so I'm hoping that this is maybe her Oscars chance. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Be very, very interesting. Um, so Belfast has announced some of their campaigning stuff. So as last night in Soho. So Belfast is officially campaigning Jude Hill in lead and everybody else in supporting. So again, important to mention, we recorded our Oscars predictions before this news came out.
Yes. Doesn't
Um,
affect it so much for this one.
no, no, no. But yeah, so Jude Hill is going lead. Everybody is going supporting other than Jude Hill. So this kind of feels like a Jojo Rabbit situation where we had
Yeah.
Roman Griffin Davis and then everybody else. Sorry, Jude Hill. I know you're probably like good or whatever. It's not gonna happen for you, buddy.
No.
Just not. You're probably okay. I'm weirdly excited for the best young actor race this year. With like Critics' Choice.
Mm.
I think they're the only major like awards body that does it. But it's gonna be Woody Norman in Come On versus Jude Hill in
Yeah.
Belfast.
That should be very interesting to see.
I think that's gonna be a really good race. I mean, last year we had Alan Kim versus Helena Zengel with Minari and News of the World. I mean, you also have Millicent Simmons in A Quiet Place Part 2, who is phenomenal. Even though that's not going to be a major Oscars contender, she's so good in that movie. She's
Yeah.
really, really good. So it's going to be interesting this year. My money is on Woody Norman because I bet on kids all the time. But it'll be interesting. I think
Yeah.
those are your three front runners, though.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say very interesting for sure. I think this is interesting because it does mean that people like Jamie Dornan stand way more of a shot.
Yeah.
It could. The only problem is it could mean split votes, which doesn't affect some films like Judas and the Black Messiah we saw last year. Didn't affect that with split votes. Ford v Ferrari, it did. I don't think either of them got in, either Matt Damon or Christian
I
Bale.
think Bale got in.
Okay,
I'm not
Bale got
sure
in.
though.
But
I'm
yeah,
not
I
sure.
think it definitely would have. I think it will have affected them even so. So this is it varies from a case to case basis, but it could hurt some people like Kieran Hines who are trying to get in. And then you've got the two actresses as well. You got Judi Dench and I don't recall the other one's name,
Kate Belf.
Katerina Belf. So it's an interesting situation they have put themselves in. Put it this way, I still think they'll get some acting attention and
Yeah.
at least one nomination in the category in either categories.
And it's also winning ensemble. Like we'll just throw
Yeah,
that out there. It's winning
yeah,
SAG ensemble. And you're right. Neither Bale or
okay.
Damon got
Yeah. I
nominated.
didn't think they did,
I
but
thought for some reason one of them did, but yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I still think that I think that it's Katrina Belf and Jamie Dornan are still the two not front runners, but like the two most likely to get nominated from that movie. I just don't see Kieran Hines or Judi Dench happening.
yeah. So the reason I put Kieran Hines in over Jamie Dornan, spoilers for the Belfast for the Oscar prediction video, is because I was going under the assumption Jamie Dornan would be best actor because that's what Gold Derby
Yeah.
listed him as. So yeah, I'd probably change my pick on that and say Jamie Dornan is ahead. And I think Judi Dench has a shot definitely because she's Judi Dench.
That's fair. That's fair. It's gonna be weird seeing this. I just marathoned all the Bond films, so
Mm?
that will be very different character.
Yes.
I kind of like her as M though. Like I think that she's really good.
Yeah, she was really good. Yeah.
And no spoilers, she died. So, uh, so speaking of category fraud, Thomas and Mackenzie is going lead, and Anya Taylor-Joy is going supporting in Last Night in Soho. And this feels weird because I feel like they should be in the same category because they supposedly share screen time.
Yeah, I feel this is a last ditch effort for Last Night in Soho to get something. Because if we mentioned a couple of weeks back that the best supporting actress category is pretty thin at the moment. There is not much contenders. So Anna Taylor Joy could very easily now just get in. And in which case, Last Night in Soho will get at least something, which I'm sure Edgar Wright and anyone behind it would want that to happen. So yeah, I see this as a last-ditch attempt to get something at least.
Yeah, like editing and sound are there. I just think that
Yeah.
it's a very packed year for those, and it's so far
Mm.
down those lists, especially since the critical reactions haven't been high. And I would argue that there is a lot in supporting actors. It just isn't clear what's getting in. Like
Yeah.
it's a very messy category. Like I don't know if there's anybody locked in supporting actors right now
No,
to get
exactly.
in, but there's like 8 major contenders or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe Anya Taylor-Joy sneaks in. I mean, Thomas and Mackenzie isn't getting anything.
No.
Let's be honest.
No.
Where this could get stuff is like Critics' Choice could go for it since they nominate like 8 people, I think. So maybe Anya Taylor-Joy gets there. It could get BAFTA, because it's like a British movie. So like it has chances, but like if this movie's gonna get acting noms, I don't think it's gonna come from the Oscars. It's gonna come from
No.
other smaller awards bodies,
Yeah.
and that's honestly what they're going for at this point, I think.
Yeah.
So The Last Duel, it now prior to release, now that critics outside of people who went to festivals have seen it, it's sitting at a 71 on Metacritic. So now that, essentially all the critics that were going to see it have seen it, thoughts on its Oscars chances at a 71?
I still think it is in the very unfortunate predicament of being released in the same year that the House of Gucci, or not the House of Gucci is being released. And I think it will just go completely under the radar. Even with a pretty stacked cast, you've got Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Adam Driver, Jodie Comer. So it's a stacked cast. It is Ridley Scott as a director. It should have a lot of eyes on it, but I just don't see it happening, and I don't see it getting much in terms of Oscars. People have thrown it out production design and costume design and those kind of awards. And I could see it maybe if the film is liked as it supposedly is with 71 on Metacritic. But in terms of the bigger awards, I just don't see it happening. Even with someone like Jodie Comer, who has the best shot easily in acting, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think this movie gets shut out. This movie had to have gotten like a high 80, low 90 at minimum to get in.
Yeah.
So yeah, and unless it like builds some insane hype through precursors, which I don't see happening, I don't see this doing anything. And is that all of the news? Oh no, we have one more big thing.
Golden Globes.
The Golden Globes are going to happen. So Dear Evan Hansen's going to get awards attention. Yeah. So we'd speculated that this was going to be a thing, that they would happen. So they won't be televised. So it's just basically going to be like how the critics groups release their awards, or like the smaller guild awards, just through a press release, which is, I mean, fine. So here's what's interesting. I could see them going for some weird stuff this year.
Yeah, because what's the point in really just going for the mainstream ones if you're not getting as many eyes on you? You may as well go out there to at least get some attention. If they nominate a really crazy film for Best Picture, that will get headlines.
Yeah, they're gonna want to get positive press. So like something like Titane, which has a lot of people who love it, maybe they give that director a picture.
Yeah, I could do that. I mean,
Shiva Baby for best comedy or musical. Come on, guys, let's get it started.
it's
Let's
not happening.
go. It's got it's gonna. I will be so mad if it doesn't get at least one nomination during this award season in any category.
Indie Spirit. Watch out for the Indie Spirit Award.
Ohio Film Critics Association, give me something. I need something. The regional critics, the Indie Spirits, the Gotham Awards.
Someone will recognize it, I'm sure.
I need something, because that movie is the best movie of the year. I don't think anything's going to change my mind. It is a perfect film. It needs to be recognized. So give me something. Give me just something. And like, I think the highest possible award it could get is like Critics' Choice or DGA, like best debut feature.
Yeah.
I think that's like the highest caliber award it's going to pick up.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
even though it deserves like a Best Picture nom. Like I honestly think that it deserves like at the Oscars picture, director, editing, and like supporting actor maybe or supporting
Right.
actress.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
I,
I
I
mean,
honestly,
yeah. I
like
think it's a shame, but it was released too early on a too small scale, and it's not going to do anything big
yeah
in terms of the award season.
yeah. I just need one nomination, a singular nomination, and I'll be happy.
Mm.
But yeah. So the Golden Globes. I mean, like you were saying, like there's some they could go for some weird stuff. Like I could totally see them putting like Eyes of Tammy Faye in comedy or musical. Like
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff that could happen with picture. So let's think. Let's do a little. Let's get our predicting caps on. Um, what what do we think the Golden Globes are gonna go for picture? Let's and I can cut some out here if we need to if it takes too long. But let's get Gold Derby pulled up
Yes.
and let's take a
That's
look
what
at.
we like. As soon as we type in G, Google thinks I'm going to Gold Derby.
Oh yeah, I probably not the best at like a betting app is the most used app on my phone, but like I'm not betting. It's okay.
Yes.
Um okay. Let's see here. So for drama, right?
Mm.
I think they go for Belfast and King Richard, the crowd pleasing dramas.
Yeah.
I think they go for Licorice Pizza and Dune,
Yeah.
and then probably like West Side Story.
Yeah. I'd say they will probably go for the mainstream ones, and those are the five mainstream sort of big Oscar contenders. So yeah, I'd say that's a good list.
So comedy, I think House of Gucci is in for comedy or musical. Or no,
Yeah.
West Side Story is in comedy or musical. What am I talking about?
Oh yes, comedy musical.
So
So
maybe
I
the
guess
other
the fifth one
Nightmare
would
Alley.
maybe, maybe. Yeah, I could see that probably happening.
Yeah.
I didn't see what else.
Um, yeah. So maybe it's Belfast, Nightmare Alley, Dune, King Richard, and Licorice Pizza.
Mm, yeah,
I think that's maybe the drama category.
yeah,
Comedy or musical, West Side Story,
mm,
House of Gucci.
yes,
I think they're gonna find a way to sneak Coda in.
maybe,
Maybe if that's comedy or musical. The French Dispatch is probably in.
yeah,
And then there's probably like Tick Tick Boom.
yeah. Or they could go completely insane and go for like In the Heights if
Yeah.
they wanted. That I could see them maybe pulling like an insane thing like that.
Annette. Let's
Or
go Annette. Annette for
yeah,
comedy musical. Come on, guys, hit
that's
me.
not happening.
Is it Tammy Faye?
Yeah, Don't Look Up as well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for as a comedy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It'll be interesting though. Because yeah, and that's my other one. Give me all the awards for Annette and Shiva, baby.
Yeah.
Come on.
Maybe not on that. Shiver Baby, yes, but maybe not on that.
It's I could totally see different awards bodies giving it song.
Yeah, I think song deserved
I could see
anything
Critics Group going for
above
Driver. I could see
anything
Critics
like
Group going
Picture.
for Driver.
Maybe, but again, Adam Driver's in too many films this year. You know,
That's true. Adam
I
Driver nominee Adam Driver for everything.
yes,
Who's in all of the movies this year.
yeah, yeah.
Um yeah, it's gonna be an interesting year. I mean, Dear Evan Hansen actually is probably getting in for comedy or musical. What are we talking about?
I don't know. I don't
They're
know
doing it.
about that.
Yeah,
The the buzz
it's
is too poor on that one, so I
they
could see them
nominated
just
music. They nominated music last
they
year.
did, they did, but I think Dear Evan Hansen has got received more backlash probably.
Oh
Like
no.
Well, no, not Backlash, but because it's a more popular movie, it's got more eyes on it. There's more negative reviews available to read than music, because music was almost exclusively negative, but there was just less of it in abundance, if that makes sense.
I mean, Dear Evan Hansen's a 30 on Rotten Tomatoes. Music is an 8.
Yeah, but yeah,
So I don't know. I think that Dear Evan Hansen's happening. I think that Ben Platt is happening at the Golden Globes.
wow,
I
yeah, you have very little faith in them then.
I do. I quite honestly, when they nominated music, they lost all faith. Like, I'm shocked. I'm honestly shocked they didn't nominate Cats for best comedy or musical.
Yeah, that would have. Yeah, that would have been insane.
I'm legitimately shocked.
Mm.
So it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, the Golden Globes are always just insane. So always fun to watch, because you have no clue what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Um, all right, let's talk about the Serrano trailer.
Mm.
Um, what do you think about it?
I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I thought, everything to do with the production design looked good. The music choice, I don't know if it's the original song that was playing over. I'm not familiar with the musical at all, but I do know there is an original song that is getting quite a bit of buzz. And the music choice was good. I thought it fit the trailer. Peter Dinklage, of course, looks excellent in the role. What did surprise me a bit was the trailer was not just showing Peter Dinklage. Like, you may have
Yeah,
expected for a trailer like that to just exclusively show Peter Dinklage. He's our main star. He's the one we're pushing. But no, they gave the other two. I don't know who the actors are, but they gave them attention as well, which could suggest maybe Peter Dinklage isn't in the movie as much as we are expecting. Me personally, I was expecting this to be a Peter Dinklage show. Maybe that's not the case with this film. But yeah, definitely an interesting and sort of just fun trailer to watch.
yeah. So the other two leads in this are Haley Bennett and Kelvin Harrison Jr., which Kelvin Harrison Jr. sounds familiar, but like I don't think I've seen them in anything. But also Ben Mendelsohn's in this movie, so that's cool.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, no, I think the trailer looks good. I've seen all of Joe Wright's films. And for the most part, I like him as a director. I mean, Atonement, I would say, is definitely in my top 50 favorite movies.
Okay.
I think it's pretty solidly in there, maybe even top 30, top 25. I think it's a really, really good movie. I like Pride and Prejudice a lot. I like Darkest Hour a lot. I like a lot of his movies. Yes, he did Pan, and he did Woman in the Window, and like
Yeah.
Hannah and The Soloist are just fine, and Anna Karenina is weird, but it's really amazing visually. Like, his movies are always really, really visually stunning. Like, this movie's getting production design, probably. It's probably gonna get costumes, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
but like all the tech categories are super stacked.
That is the problem with this year. That maybe this one comes out isn't that well regarded. Maybe it gets like a 75 on Metacritic or something like that, and then they just Oscars decide, we're going to ignore this film altogether.
Yeah,
Even Peter Dinklage, I could see, getting not enough attention, but I do think at this moment he does have a pretty good hold on the category.
yeah. I think as long as this movie is good, he gets in. Even if he isn't even if it isn't like a tour de force performance. I think as long as the movie's good, he does get in. But yeah, it looked good. I'm very, very excited for it. I like Joe Wright. I like musicals. I like Peter Dinklage. Um, so maybe I'll like this movie. I don't know. You see any new releases in the past week?
I did not know, actually. No new releases.
So
Venom releases on Friday, but not really an Oscar contender.
no, no. So I saw No Time to Die. I know you talked about it last week. I'll briefly give my thoughts. I think that it's very, very good. I think it's my second favorite Craig Bond film, just behind Skyfall. I know I'm putting it above Casino Royale. That's blasphemy. But I really, really liked this movie. I think that the screenplay is super messy and it's way too long. But
Mm.
I just think as like a love letter to the character of James Bond, it encompasses everything that I want out of a James Bond film. So I think it works really well as a Bond film, not necessarily as a film.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, okay, I just say it. I think that BAFTA's going to nominate him for actor. I brought it up last week. I think the BAFTAs are going to nominate him for actor. They nominated him for actor for Casino Royale. I think it's going to they're going to bookend his career as Bond with noms. I mean, this movie's blowing up in England right now.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Everybody it's everywhere. Like you said,
Yeah.
I think 21 out of the 24 screenings in your theater were showing No Time to Die.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got it's scaled back a bit, but it's still easily the most popular film released. You know, Venom. I just looked has 4 in its first week, whereas No Time to Die currently had 11 still 11
In
slots.
its third week
Yeah.
in England. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting. But I think that this movie is definitely getting song and sound.
Mm.
And yeah, so you brought up score, and I was skeptical. I do think that can happen, though.
I
Even
think it
though
does stand a chance if they
I
really want to push this film as the last Danny Craig Bond. I can see them going for. I can see them going for a narrative building up, and I can see them getting all 3 of the sort of sound categories. I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, I mean, it's a good sounding movie.
Yes.
But yeah, I think sound and score are basically locks, or sorry, sound and song. And yeah, I do think that if I was skeptical at first, but I do think that score is a possibility if they push it. And like I said, it's my out there prediction, but I think that they're gonna get the BAFTAs are gonna give Craig an acting nom.
Okay. Well,
I
if
just
you're right, you look like a genius.
I do, and if I'm wrong, well, but that is the show. We had a couple of stuff come out this week. Mask came out this week, but we'll talk about that a lot in our Oscars predictions.
Mm.
The Rescue, again, we'll touch on that in our Oscars predictions video as well, which should be coming out Friday or Saturday. I'm going to try and get it out sometime this weekend. So be on the lookout for that. It's long. It's definitely long,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of fun to go through. So hope you enjoy it. But until next week, Thomas, where can all of the random people on the internet that are staring at you right now find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Payman's Pictures, where I release videos every week to do with films. Upcoming, we've got a ranking of Wes Anderson's films and a ranking of Denis Villeneuve's films in correlation with release of June and The French Dispatch. I sort of was good, and now I'm sort of tailing off a bit with my pronunciation of his name. Hopefully, it'll be better by the time the actual video rolls around. We'll see. I'll do some practicing.
You added an extra V in there. Other than
Yeah,
that, you were good.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can find me on Letterboxd at Trevor Matson. And then I am also on this channel that you're watching right now.
Yeah, always plug it for no reason.
I yeah. So I next video coming up is about why you should stop remaking foreign films because it's stupid and people should, just suck it up and read subtitles because it isn't that hard. Unless you don't know how to read, I guess. Sorry. But there's that. And then you can also find me on The Basement with my co-host Mara Kanopik. Thomas, anything you'd like to leave the people with?
Keep talking Oscars.
All right.
Sentiment for our show. I think we should adopt it as a catchphrase.
I do like that. Keep talking Oscars, everybody. Until next time, do that, and then also stay safe. And good.